The story begins with our female protagonist, Mio Saemori, reflecting on her horrible upbringing and how a man named Kyoka Kudo changed her perspective on life. We cut to the past, where a woman named Kaya orders Mio to make her better green tea. Mio exits the room. Kaya and a woman named Kanoko speak ill of her in front of her father, Shinichi. At the same time, Mr. Tatsushi arrives to speak with Shinichi, and Mio overhears girls discussing his arrival. They believe he is here to discuss a marriage proposal. They speculate that it is for Kaya rather than Mio, despite the fact that both girls are of marriageable age. Mr. Tatsushi's son, Koji, discovers Mio. The two sit down to talk. Koji hands Mio candy and wishes he could save her from her miserable existence. In addition, Kaya asks Shinichi to buy her a new kimono for girls' school. Shinichi promises to buy her several kimonos and asks Mio to be present this week. Mio falls asleep, wishing her father did not treat her as a servant. After being mocked by Kaya for her dirty appearance, Mio notices Koji outside while sweeping. Koji claims he has important matters to discuss with Shinichi, including his reason for wearing Western-themed clothing. Koji does not explain his somber demeanor, but does give Mio more sweets to eat and share with the other workers. A woman invites Mio to meet Shinichi in the parlor. Mio hopes for a marriage proposal from Koji, but she does not want to get her hopes up. Mio walks in and sees Koji, Kaya, Shinichi, and Kanoko in the room. Shinichi explains that he will allow Koji to marry into the Saemori family and take over. Koji is going to marry Kaya, which upsets Mio. Shinichi informs Mio that she will marry Kyoka Kudo and will be living elsewhere. Shinichi tells Mio to gather her belongings because she will be going to Kudo's place tomorrow. Koji exits the room and notices Mio standing in the rain alone. We cut to a flashback involving Koji and his father. His father informs Koji that he will marry Kaya. He notes that he asked Mio to be Kazushi's wife, so she leaves the house. Koji isn't thrilled about marrying Kaya, but his father insists on it. Mio goes to her mother's cherry tree to collect her thoughts and say her goodbyes. Koji confronts Mio about the situation, but Mio dismisses it as bad luck and expresses no resentment toward him. Kaya interrupts their conversation. Mio thanks Koji for his years of support before leaving to pack her belongings. A woman enters Mio's room and hands her a kimono. She tells Mio that her father wants her to wear it before leaving tomorrow. The woman warns Mio that Kyoka is a cruel man and all of his fiancés have flawed. Mio puts on her kimono, looks around her house, and reflects. She reflects on her mother's death, her sad childhood, and other aspects of her life to date. Mio arrives at Kyoka's home and meets Yuri, the family servant. When Mio looks at Kyoka, she feels as if her life is improving. We see Kyoka explaining his house rules to Mio. Yuri then shows Mio to her quarters and informs her that Kiyotaka is a kind-hearted gentleman. As Mio sleeps, she wonders if Kiyotaka believes she has supernatural abilities because she was born into the Saemori family. We cut to a flashback of Shinichi determining whether Mio or Kaya were born with spirit sight. Kaya is afraid of the spirits that emerge from Shinichi's box. Shinichi congratulates Kaya on her ability to see spirits and predicts that she will eventually gain supernatural abilities. According to Kanoko, Kaya's abilities improve after 6 months, whereas Mio is unable to use spirit sight. Mio confides in one of the female staff members about her frustrations with her family. She feels unwanted because of how they belittle and mistreat her. Mio awakens from her dream and plans to help Kiyotaka and Yuri. Yuri notices Mio preparing food. Mio apologizes for not asking permission, but Yuri says it's fine. Yuri tells Mio that preparing meals is her job, and she appreciates Mio's assistance. Yuri asks Mio if she can make breakfast so he can focus on other tasks, and Mio gladly agrees. Kiyotaka eventually wakes up and Yuri serves him the breakfast Mio prepared. Kiyotaka orders Mio to eat the dish, but she does not respond as he expects. Therefore, he refuses to eat the meal. Kiyotaka tells Mio to try harder next time before leaving the room. We cut to Kiyotaka and his comrades welcoming the new Special Anti-Grotesquerie unit members. He claims that through sheer discipline, Kiyotaka will help them hone their supernatural abilities such as telekinesis, pyrokinesis, and clairvoyance. His comrade explains that grotesqueries have existed in their world for a long time and are dangerous to humans. As a result, the recruits must use their supernatural abilities to defeat these demons and spirits. Kiyotaka overhears some recruits complaining and uses his abilities. He explains that while grotesqueries have diminished over time, they should not be complacent because they can reappear at any time. As Kiyotaka works on some paperwork in his office, a comrade enters to deliver more paperwork. He irritates Kiyotaka because he knows the latter has a new fiancée. Kiyotaka instructs him to leave him alone. He recalls a conversation he had with Yuri before fleeing to the special anti-grotesquerie headquarters. Yuri defends Mio's dish and advises Kiyotaka not to think negatively of her. In the present, Kiyotaka questions Yuri's judgment but moves on to his work. At the same time, Mio wonders if she made the right decision and whether she should leave Kiyotaka's home. Meanwhile, Shinichi informs Koji that his room is ready and that he should begin preparing to join the family. Koji runs into Kaya and her female servants. He offers to assist them with moving Kaya's belongings to Mio's old room. In Mio's old room, Koji declares that he still loves Mio and wonders what he can do for her. We see Mio welcome Kiyotaka home and apologize for her cooking. She tells Kiyotaka that Yuri prepared his meal this time and assures him that she did not put poison in the dish she made for him. Kiyotaka admits that he was only concerned about eating food prepared by a stranger and did not suspect her of malicious intent. Kiyotaka and Mio return to his eating quarters, and he tries Yuri's food. He complains about how cold it tastes, and Mio repeatedly apologizes. Kiyotaka tells her to stop apologizing so much and asks why she did not prepare a meal for herself. He wonders why Yuri didn't prepare a meal for her, but Mio explains that she didn't have an appetite to avoid Kiyotaka looking down on Yuri later. Mio offers to make Kiyotaka's bath, but he tells her not to worry and to stop doing unnecessary things, leaving Mio feeling useless. Later, Kiyotaka apologizes to Mio for not eating her breakfast and informs her that she is in charge of making him breakfast because Yuri will be unable to come in tomorrow. He suggests she take a bath while the water is hot, then leaves. Mio promises not to mess things up tomorrow because Kiyotaka gave her another chance. We cut to a flashback that shows Hana, Mio's servant friend, and Mio as a child. Mio informs Hana that her mother's kimono and heirlooms are missing. Mio confronts Kanoko about the situation, and Kanoko attacks Mio for accusing her of theft. Kanoko steps on Mio's mother's comb and locks her up as a punishment. Mio awakens from the dream and brushes her hair with her mother's comb. She wonders what happened to Hana after being fired that day. Yuri arrives, surprising Mio. She informs Mio that she arrived early today because she was concerned about what happened yesterday. Mio explains what happened between her and Kiyotaka, and Yuri is relieved things worked out. Yuri assists Mio with her breakfast. Mio wonders if Kiyotaka will prepare a dish created by someone like her. Kiyotaka compliments Mio on her cooking, which causes her to cry and apologize again. Kiyotaka ponders Mio's situation alone, wondering why she wears rugged clothing and behaves the way she does despite coming from a prominent family. He asks Yuri if he can ask her questions about her life. Kiyotaka intends to investigate the Saimuri family and requests Yuri to keep a close eye on Mio. Yuri claims Mio will not like her if he does not express his emotions. Kiyotaka confirms that his former spouses were after his wealth and status, so he does not mind if Mio dislikes him. Meanwhile, Koji's father yells at Shinichi for not carrying out his agreement with Mio. It is revealed that Mio was supposed to be given to the Tatsuishi family rather than sent to Kudo's place. The story begins with Kiyotaka asking Mio to accompany him on a trip through town this weekend. Despite her reservations, Kiyotaka encourages her to abandon her duties for the time being. The weekend arrives. Yuri helps Mio get ready for her first date with Kiyotaka. Kiyotaka and Mio go to Kiyotaka's workplace first to park his car. His special anti-grotesquerie unit comrade from episode 2 is named Goto. After sending Goto away for bothering him and Mio, Kiyotaka takes Mio shopping in town. He reminds Mio to act normal and not consider herself an inconvenience. We cut to Mr. Tatsuishi discussing with Shinji his decision to give Mio to the Kudo family after he asked him to let her marry his eldest son. Shinji claims he received an offer from the Kudo family and refused to turn it down. Mr. Tatsuishi claims Mio is from the Yusuba family, like her mother, and could bear children with supernatural abilities despite not having any herself. Mr. Tatsuishi reminds Shinji that her family's abilities are exceptional. Allowing the Kudo family to become stronger would jeopardize their positions. Shinji believes Kiyotaka will want to get rid of Mio once he realizes she doesn't have any powers. He says Mr. Tatsuishi can accept her into his family if that happens. Shinji admits that the Saimuri family will no longer be involved in Mio's life because they abandoned her. He explicitly states that he doesn't care if she lives or dies. Mr. Tatsuishi promises to bring Mio into his family. At the same time, one of the Saimuri family's employees informs Kaya of Shinji's conversation about Mio with Mr. Tatsuishi. Kaya is annoyed that he is talking about Mio when Koji asks if he wants to go shopping with her. Kaya agrees despite knowing that Koji still has feelings for Mio. Kiyotaka and Mio go to Suzushima Kimono Shop, where he says his family is their most loyal customer. One of the workers pulls Kiyotaka aside so he can get the fabric he ordered. She mocks him for bringing a female with him, as he rarely does. During this time, he recalls Yuri telling him about Mio's ability to mend her own clothing. Despite the fact that Mio comes from a wealthy family, he can't shake the image of her wearing worn-out clothes. Kiyotaka notices a new piece of fabric and asks the worker to make a kimono for Mio. She hands Kiyotaka the items he requested while pleading with him not to let Mio leave. The two go to a sweet shop next, and Kiyotaka asks Mio if she could smile more. He reminds Mio that if everything goes well, they will marry, so she should be free to express her opinions. Mio wonders what Kiyotaka will think of her once he realizes she lacks powers. Mio hopes the happiness she feels with Kiyotaka will last until the time comes to tell him. They return home, and Kiyotaka places the gift he purchased for Mio at the Suzushimaya hop in front of her room while she baths. Mio realizes it's a comb and rushes to ask Kiyotaka if he placed it there. In a flashback, Yuri explains that presenting women with combs is a marriage proposal. However, Kiyotaka claims it means nothing because he just wanted to get Mio something. Mio expresses gratitude to Kiyotaka for the gift and promises to treasure it. Next, we arrive at the Special Anti-Grotesquer Unit headquarters, where someone provides Kiyotaka with information about the Saimori family. We learn that Shinichi's family arranged for him to marry Mio's mother, Sumi Saimori. The man confirms Mio does not have supernatural abilities, unlike her stepsister Kaya. Furthermore, he reveals Sumi's heirs from the Yusuba family, which surprises Kiyotaka. This family appears to be unique, given their ability to interfere with humans. The investigator is unsure how she became involved with the Saimori family. As he questions why he isn't acting like himself, a group of Shikigami attack him. Kiyotaka defeats the group using his abilities. He wonders who sent them to spy on him. We see Mio seeing Sumi ask Shinichi not to abandon her. Shinichi refuses, prompting Sumi to apologize to Mio and assure her that things will be different for her in the future. Mio awakens from her dream, goes to Yuri, and tells her she wants to get something for Kiyotaka. Yuri offers to help Mio find a gift for Kiyotaka. She suggests that Mio make or buy a gift for Kiyotaka that he can use every day. Yuri gives her a handicraft guide. Mio enjoys the braided cords in the book. She decides to make one for Kiyotaka. Mio asks Kiyotaka for permission to leave the house for an errand, and Yuri promises to accompany her. Although he says she can wait another day for him to leave, Kiyotaka agrees but warns her not to follow strangers. Kiyotaka hands Mio an amulet and instructs her to keep it with her. We see Kazushi, Koji's older brother, messing with Koji. Mio and Yuri then go shopping for a braid that will look good on Kiyotaka. They leave the shop after Mio has found the perfect color. However, Yuri forgot to go shopping for salt, so she asks Mio to stay put until she returns. Mio suddenly notices Kaya and Koji in the distance. Meanwhile, Kiyotaka pays Shinichi a visit at his home and informs him that he wishes to make his engagement to Mio official. Furthermore, Kiyotaka intends to build a relationship between their families and informs Shinichi of the things he did to Mio. Kaya criticizes Mio and believes Kiyotaka abandoned her because she continues to wear the same rag kimono. Kiyotaka expresses his willingness to provide Shinichi with Mio's dowry. However, he must apologize to her in person. Otherwise, Kiyotaka agrees to cut ties with him. Yuri reappears and Kaya introduces herself to her. Yuri claims Mio is not her colleague because she will soon be known as Lady Mio after marrying Kiyotaka. Kaya, surprised, claims she had heard rumors about Mio's abandonment and assumed they were true. Yuri and Mio return home, and Mio instructs her to rest for a while. Mio goes to her room and hates herself. Kaya and Koji return to the Saimori household and notice Kiyotaka leaving. Kiyotaka returns and notices something unusual about Mio. Later, Yuri tells Kiyotaka that Mio appeared terrified and exhausted when she spoke with Kaya today. Yuri apologizes for leaving her alone. Kiyotaka tells Mio that she can open up to him whenever she wants. He returns to his quarters, considering what else he can do to boost Mio's confidence. Yuri suggests that Mio be loved in a meaningful way. Mio finishes Kiyotaka's gift but wonders how to present it to him. Yuri informs Mio that she has a visitor, and it's Hana. Hana informs Mio that she is married and has her first child. Hana says she has always wanted Mio to have a happy ending and asks if she is happy now. Mio says she doesn't understand how she can be happy without a special gift. She does not consider herself worthy of becoming Kiyotaka's wife. Hana reveals that Kiyotaka sent her a letter, prompting her to come here to see Mio. After seeing the letter, Mio wonders if Kiyotaka knows everything about her. Mio promises Hana that she will find her courage. She pays a visit to Kiyotaka and tells him everything from her lack of spirit sight to growing up as a servant for her family. Mio thanks Kiyotaka for everything he has done for her and gives him the braid she made for him. Kiyotaka informs Mio that he intends to make their engagement official and that he wants her to be with him forever. He asks Mio to assist him in putting on the braid and promises to cherish this gift. Mio thanks Hana for stopping by and assisting her before leaving. Mio thanks Kiyotaka for everything, and we see the Shikigami from the previous chapter floating above them. We cut to Mr. Tatsuishi in his office, who is furious that Mio is doing well with Kudo. He considers how to keep Mio from falling out of his family's possession. We see a shot of Koji and Kaya. The story continues with Yuri and a woman assisting Mio with a new kimono that Kyoka has chosen for her. Mio appreciates Kyoka's kindness and enjoys how the kimono reminds her of her mother's cherry blossom kimono. Meanwhile, Mr. Tatsuishi discusses Mio and Kyoka with Kaya. Mr. Tatsuishi hands Kaya a photograph of Mio and Kyoka together. He informs Kaya that Mio is doing exceptionally well with him. When Mr. Tatsuishi tells Kaya that he planned for Mio to marry Kazushi, Kaya becomes irritated by the situation. Kaya informs Mr. Tatsuishi that she intends to visit her father to make a request. Later, Yoshido and Kyoka travel to Kyoka's house because Yoshido will be having dinner with Kyoka and Mio. When they arrive, Kyoka is astounded by Mio's dashing appearance. Yoshido feels excluded, but Mio invites him to stay. Meanwhile, we cut to Kaya, who appears to be using the Shikigami to spy on Mio and her companions. She is jealous that Mio appears to be happier than she is. Yoshido adores the meal Mio prepared for them and tells Kyoka that he is a fortunate man to have food prepared by her. Mio returns to the room and expresses gratitude to Yoshido for assisting her in reuniting with Hana, despite his minor role in the incident. Yoshido appreciates Mio's respect and jokes that she will marry him instead of Kyoka. Yoshido leaves. Mio thanks Kyoka for tonight. Meanwhile, Kaya is upset with her father's response about forgetting Mio, despite the fact that Kaya believes she is a better fit for Kyoka. After things don't go her way with her father, Kaya goes to Koji's room to talk about it. Meanwhile, Mio has a strange dream and Kyoka senses something is wrong. He enters Mio's room and notices her lying on the floor. Kyoka wonders what's wrong and awakens Mio from her nightmare. He tells Mio to let him know if anything goes wrong with her in the future, and that she is never alone. Koji notices some men entering a vehicle the next day. He recalls Kaya's words from the previous night. Kaya informs him that she spoke with his father, who has expressed a willingness to assist Kaya and Koji with his Mio dilemma. Koji wonders what Kaya and his father intend to do to Mio. Mio prepares a meal for Kyoka and plans to deliver it to him alongside Yuri. Yuri handed her a pouch. Kyoka had it made for her and says she will be overjoyed to see her with it. Koji stops by his father's office to speak with him and notices Kaya. Kaya says she's come to exchange money with her sister. Koji claims it won't happen because Shinichi said no. Kaya, on the other hand, suggests that Mio may want to carry out this plan with Koji. Koji asks his father what he has planned. Mr. Tatsuishi assures him that he will understand everything soon and asks him to trust him. Mio and Yuri arrive at the special anti-grotesquerie unit headquarters to meet Kyoka and hand him the meal Mio prepared for him. Kyoka thanks Mio for thinking of him and asks if she has the amulet he gave her. Mio informs Kyoka that she has it with her and he reminds her to keep it close. Someone calls Kyoka, who tells them to get home safely. Mio realizes she left the amulet at home and is upset because she promised Kyoka she would always keep it with her. Yuri and Mio return home but are ambushed by the two men Koji spotted earlier. They grab Mio, put her in the car, and drive away. At the same time, Koji questions his father and Kaya about their plans. Kaya says they'll have Mio withdraw from her marriage plans with the Kudo's head. Kaya departs as Mr. Tatsuishi informs Koji that they must secure Mio and do everything in his power to help their lineage thrive. Koji is furious because his father knew Mio had been abused for years but never helped her because it was all for his benefit. Mr. Tatsuishi overpowers Koji and instructs him to wait until everything is settled. Fortunately, Kazushi releases Koji and encourages him to save Mio. Yuri tells Kyoka what happened to Mio and apologizes for being the reason she did not have the amulet with her. Koji arrives at the special anti-grotesquerie unit headquarters. Koji asks Kyoka to help him save Mio. Mio calls for help after realizing her situation. Kuchi and Kyoka are seen making their way to the Seimaru residence in order to save Mio. Kanoko orders Mio to reject Kyoka's marriage proposal, but Kaya threatens to ruin Mio's kimono if she does not agree to Kanoko's terms. Kaya promises to give Mio Koji back and plans to marry Kyoka instead. Despite snipping a piece of Mio's kimono, she refuses to give up her desire to marry Kyoka. Kinoko slaps Mio as Kaya cuts the rope Mio is hanging from, allowing her to fall to the ground. Kaya criticizes Mio, claiming she lacks redeeming qualities and is an embarrassment to the Saimori family. Mio stands her ground, telling Kinoko and Kaya that she will marry Kyoka whether they like it or not. Meanwhile, Koji and Kyoka arrive. Kyoka uses his powers to get inside and demands that Shinichi tell him where Mio is. Mr. Tatsushi informs Kyoka Mio that he will not be returning to his household any longer. Mr. Tatsushi refuses to tell Kyoka where he is hiding Mio, so Kyoka intends to use force to achieve his goal. Kyoka battles Shinichi and Mr. Tatsushi. Despite their best efforts, Mr. Tatsushi and Shinichi cannot defeat Kyoka. Kinoko becomes concerned and asks Mio to reject Kyoka's offer. Once again, Mio refuses to give up. At the same time, Koji informs Kyoka that the Samurais have most likely placed Mio in the storehouse. Before they go there, Mr. Tatsushi tries to stop Kyoka again, but he is knocked out by a lightning attack. Mio thinks about her life with her family and Kyoka as Kaya yells at her to reject the marriage proposal. Kyoka comes to Mio's aid as she passes out from the abuse she received from Kaya and Kinoko. Kinoko looks outside and sees the devastation left by Kyoka's battle with Mr. Tatsushi and Shinichi. Kyoka asks Kaya what she was trying to accomplish by injuring Mio. Kaya tells Kyoka that she should have been set up with him, not Mio. She brags about how inferior Mio is to her, prompting Kyoka to tell her to shut her mouth. Kyoka leaves with Mio in his arms, while Koji urges Kaya to join him in leaving the area. He does not want Kaya's death to be another burden on Mio's shoulders. In a dream, Mio sees her mother, Sumi. Sumi apologizes to Mio for her difficult life and encourages her to believe in her own strength. We then cut to a man who is furious over Mr. Tatsushi's failure. Another person asks this man for permission to carry out a new plan that will help him in his endeavors. Mio awakens in Kyoka's home, and Kyoka comforts her. Yuri enters the room pleased to see Mio doing well. Kyoka tells Mio that they're happy she's okay. The story begins with Mio requests that Kyoka take her to the Saimori house despite knowing that it has been burned down. Kyoka and Mio arrive at Saimori's house. Kyoka informs Mio that Shinichi and Kinoko have released the majority of the servants and are moving to their villa in the countryside. He claims that the Tatsuishi family's involvement has not been revealed. Kazushi will be the Tatsuishi family's leader and bear responsibility. Kyoka claims that the family accepted restrictions while under his supervision and will now be commanded by the Kudo family. Kaya will become a family servant. Kyoka leads Mio to her mother's cherry tree. Mio touches the tree, which withers away. Kyoka blames himself for the incident, but Mio assures him that his actions were justified. Kyoka informs Mio that he intends to begin the procedures for their engagement ceremony. After telling Mio that they might have to meet his father soon, Kyoka and her run into Koji. Koji asks Mio if she can talk to her privately. Koji tells Mio that he intends to leave town to become stronger. Although Koji is slightly upset that Mio does not remember his words from the previous episode, he promises to meet her again. Mio then explains how she will officially become Kyoka's fiancée without having to go through the usual procedures. Later, Mio meets Hazuki, Kyoka's older sister. In a flashback, Mio tells Kyoka that she wants to redo her lessons to become a lady and will find a suitable teacher. Kyoka informs Mio that he will have someone stop by to assist her. We cut to the present where Mio is interacting with Hazuki. Although Hazuki's upset Kyoka didn't tell Mio much about herself, she intends to teach Mio how to be a proper lady. After discussing flowers with Mio, Hazuki and she proceed to a private room to begin their lessons. Meanwhile, Kyoka is secretly reading a book outside the room, listening in on their conversation. Hazuki tells Mio that she has had an unsuccessful marriage in the past, but has a lot of experience as a lady because she graduated from an all-girls school. Hazuki asks Kyoka if she can bring Mio home and teach her better, but Kyoka declines. She advises Mio to set a realistic goal to motivate herself to improve. She informs Mio of an upcoming party in 2 months, stating that it would be the ideal next step for her. Kyoka encourages Mio to follow through with the plan. Hazuki leaves their house and intends to make a schedule for Mio's lessons. Kyoka wakes up at night after experiencing supernatural phenomena. He checks on Mio and doubts she is having a nightmare. We see men attempting to form a barrier, but a few mythical entities disrupt their plans. Kyoka meets with General Okado in the morning. Okado informs Kyoka Takahito of a revelation and plans to report on Tatsuishi. However, he requires Kyoka to accompany him to his meeting with Takahito. Okado informs Kyoka that a tomb break-in occurred last night, which resulted in the grave opening. The gentleman from before cliffhanger planning to retrieve Mio from Kyoka. In the next scene we see Kyoka discussing the grave's history. He claims that this is a place where those with supernatural abilities are buried. It's also where spirits who have transformed into grotesqueries as a result of negative emotions are permanently sealed away. He warns that if the rumors about someone opening the grave are true and the grotsukuris awaken, the imperial city will suffer greatly. General Okato wonders who broke the seal and why. Okato and Kyoka run into Kazushi, and the trio meets with Highness Takahito to discuss matters. Kazushi introduces himself to Takahito as the new head of the Tatsuishi family. He thanks Takahito for giving him an audience today and expresses regret for his father's actions. Kazushi says the Kudo family will help him restore his family's honor and trust. Takahito forgave Kazushi's family on his father's behalf and asked Kazushi to keep his word. Takahito tells Okato, Kazushi, and Kyoka about his discovery and promises to keep them updated if he finds anything else. Takahito brings up Mio, saying that things will become difficult for him soon. He is confident, though, that everything will be fine. Meanwhile, Hazuki assists Mio with her proper lady training, which ranges from helping her smile to walking in a dress. At the same time, Kyoka wonders what Takahito knows about his and Mio's situation. He looks at a pamphlet and remembers what the gentleman told him about Mio's mother and the Yusuba family. He discusses what he knows about the Yusuba family's abilities and wonders if Mio's nightmares are related to anyone in the family. Kyoka departs the Special Anti-Grotesquerie Unit headquarters early. We cut to Hazuki explaining the next steps in Mio's training to her. She asks Mio if she can drop the miss when addressing her because she wants Mio to feel safe when relying on her and because they will soon be family. Hazuki leaves. Mio considers what it means to be family. Meanwhile, Kyoka speaks with the investigator and asks if he has any information on the Yusuba family. According to the investigator, all he found were rumors about them. He claims Sumi Yusuba is the only Yusuba they know about. Kyoka requests that the investigator find information about Sumi and report it to him once he does. After more sessions with Hazuki's aide, Hazuki questions Mio about Kyoka and why he has been arriving home late lately. Mio tells Hazuki that he has been busy at work and she intends to put in a similar effort with her proper lady training. An envoy from the Ministry of the Imperial Household arrives at the Special Anti-Grotesquerie Unit headquarters. The envoy introduces himself as Arata Tsuruki to Kyoka. According to Arata, the ministry is racing to retrieve the grotesqueries now that the grave has been opened. He claims the ministry has no idea who is behind it, but they discovered many suspicious men collapse near the crime scene. Kyoka asks why the ministry is sharing this information with him. Arata claims that 20% of the grotesqueries have been retrieved, and he believes they are understaffed to handle the situation. Arata explains his negotiating position with Kyoka and admits to researching him before their meeting. Kyoka says he'd be happy to help the ministry with their needs. Arata says he will act as Kyoka's point of contact for future operations. Kyoka, Yoshido, and the others go to the grave. They retrieve some of the men from the site. Kazuki and Okato discuss issues concerning one of the men they rescue while he was sleeping. Okato is convinced he is one of the men who participated in the unsealing. Okato claims the other men they rescued from the site are unconscious and don't know if they'll wake up. They inspect all of the men who have been cursed after coming into contact with a grotesquerie. Kazushi explains that he is only good at lifting curses from living beings, not dead ones. Okato asks Kazushi to do his best. Kyoka hears something in the forest and Kazushi tries to break the gentleman's curse. Kazushi is taken aback by the curse's strength and describes it as overwhelming. Kyoka and his men encounter some grotesqueries, and Mio has a nightmare about being surrounded by them. Mio wakes up from her nightmare as Kyoka battles the grotesqueries. We cut to Arata and possibly the ministry head discussing the upcoming awakening and Arata's role as its sworn protector. After Kyoka and his men survive their encounter with the grotesqueries, we cut to Mio, Yuri, and Hazuki passing through town in the morning. Hazuki notices Mio's pale complexion and suggests they return home. Mio collapses, but before she hits the ground, she believes Kyoka has saved her and Mio's savior Arata as he introduces himself to Mio. We see Mio apologizing to Arata for bothering him. Mio, Yuri, and Hazuki return home so Mio can rest. Kyoka arrives. He tells Hazuki about Mio's ties to the Yusuba family and speculates on how their blood may be harming her body. He doubts Mio would open up about her mother if asked, given how she has been hiding her emotions lately. Later, Yoshido tells Kyoka about a man who was attacked by a grotesquerie, and Kyoka is concerned that the grotesqueries will enter the Imperial City soon. Mio wakes up from another nightmare. She's upset because her proper lady training isn't going well. Kyoka calls Mio, who says she's doing well. Kyoka and Yoshido meet with Okato and Kazushi to discuss the grotesquerie situation. Yoshido informs Okato and Kazushi that the grotesqueries may be advancing toward the Imperial City. Okato informs Kyoka that he has not received anything from the Imperial Household Ministry, so Kyoka orders troops to encircle the Imperial City. Okato promises to contact the ministry in the meantime. Meanwhile, Hazuki, Yuri, and Mio eat some of Mio's cooking. Hazuki admits she's terrible at cooking and regrets marrying. Despite having a good relationship with her husband, Hazuki did not get along with his family. This led to her divorce from her husband. Hazuki admires Mio for doing her best to overcome her flaws and advises her to be true to herself in order to avoid regrets. Mio expresses her desire to be by Kyoka's side. We cut to Kyoka's meeting with the investigator. Kyoka asks him to continue searching the world for information on Mio's mother, Sumi. Mio joins Kyoka on the balcony at night. Kyoka apologizes for not having time to talk with her due to his work. Mio assures him that nothing has been bothering her. She asks Kyoka about growing up with Hazuki. Despite Hazuki's annoyance, Kyoka realizes he has a close relationship with her. He asks Mio to move closer to him. Kyoka encourages her to talk to him about her feelings and says it's okay for her to rely on him. Mio vows in the morning to solve her problems on her own. Otherwise, she believes she will be unable to support her family. Mio hears someone at the door who turns out to be Arata. Mio informs Arata that Kyoka is not home and Arata properly introduces himself to Mio. He reveals that he knows a lot about Mio and believes Kyoka is a terrible husband for neglecting his wife. He continues to speak ill of Kyoka and Mio urges him to stop. Before leaving, Arata tells Mio that he would like to offer her a role that she is qualified for and gives her his contact information. Arata meets with Kyoka, Yoshido, Kazushi, and Okato. He informs Kyoka that he has received permission to direct freely. Kyoka plans to carry out large-scale operations. Arata and Kyoka wander somewhere and he tells Kyoka that he met Mio and disapproves of how she treats her. He tells Kyoka to call him if he has any problems. The investigator calls Kyoka at the office and informs him that Sumi Tsuruki is the only person without a birth or family registration. Kyoka comes home and notices Mio cooking something. However, he notices that she appears paler and thinner than usual, indicating that she is overworking herself. Kyoka ends up saying something that upsets Mio and causes her to faint. He wonders if Arata is correct as Arata's contact card falls out of his pocket. Kyoka vows to get Arata to tell him everything and to rid Mio of her issues. We see Kyoko and Mio arrive at Arata's place. Arata welcomes them and informs them that this is the Yusuba house. Arata reveals his real name, Arata Yusuba, and that he is Mio's cousin. Kyoka informs Arata that he has arrived due to Mio's nightmare issues. Arata believes that Mio's supernatural abilities are causing her nightmares. Although Mio was tested for her supernatural abilities a long time ago, Arata claims that every member of the Yusuba family possesses a unique ability. Yoshiro Yusuba, Arata's grandfather, arrives and welcomes Kyoka and Mio. He informs Mio that he is Sumi's father, grandfather, and the head of the Yusuba family. Kyoka and Mio follow them indoors. Mio realizes she's feeling less disheveled. Arata explains that it is due to the Yusuba family's barrier around the house. Yoshiro tells Kyoka Mio that if she leaves the house, her nightmares will resume. Yoshiro claims he knows how to stop Mio's nightmares. However, he must hand over Mio to them. Yoshiro claims he was unaware of Mio's dormant supernatural abilities, which is why neither he nor Arata pursued her before. He explains that Mio possesses dream sight, the ability to intervene in people's dreams. Yoshiro warns that if the Yusuba family does not control Mio's dream sight, it could lead to a series of disasters. Kyoka refuses to let Mio stay with them, saying he will protect her. Arata opposes it. He cites what happened to the Saimori family, the grave, as evidence against her staying with him. Arata asks Mio what she wants, but she doesn't know. He asks Kyoka to fight him for Mio. If Kyoka wins, Arata will teach him how to control Mio's abilities. Kyoka agrees and the two men head outside for their duel. During their duel, Arata explains that he does not have spirit sight like Mio and that other members of the Yusuba family do not have it either. He claims the Yusuba family line's abilities are designed to fight humans with supernatural prowess. Despite dominating Arata during their fight, Arata uses illusionary techniques to trick and disarm Kyoka. Arata wins the duel, and Mio rushes over to Kyoka. However, Arata erects a barrier around Kyoka and transports him away from the Yusuba family home. Meanwhile, Okato informs Yoshido of their situation with the grotesqueries. He tells Yoshido that they are starting to move in groups and that they must act accordingly. He asks Yoshido to contact Kyoka. Kyoka returns home and Hazuki treats his wounds. She tells him to go back and get Mio from the Yusubas. Despite losing the duel, Hazuki encourages Kyoka to win her back and explains Mio's reasoning to him. Kyoka intends to visit headquarters after contacting Yoshido, much to Hazuki's displeasure. Kyoka says he has to put Mio's rescue on hold for the time being because the situation threatens the lives of many people. Meanwhile, Arata questions the fate of the Imperial City if the Special Anti-Grotesquerie unit fails. He intends to focus his efforts on protecting Mio in order to fulfill his duty. Arata pays a visit to Mio in her room. He tells Mio that Kyoka is fine and shows her a picture of Sumi and Yoshiro. He informs Mio that Sumi possesses telepathic abilities. Arata explains dream sight principles to Mio, claiming that her abilities enable her to enter or manipulate anyone's dreams, regardless of strength. He says that as her powers improve, Mio will be able to see into the past, present, and future through her dreams. Mio wonders why her abilities haven't awakened until now. Yoshiro enters the fray, telling Mio that Sumi has sealed them away. Yoshiro promised to tell Mio Sumi's reasoning behind all her actions. We see Yoshiro explains why Sumi married into the Saimori family and sealed Mio's supernatural abilities. He claims it all began several years before her birth. They were backed by the Tsurugi Trading Company, which had a large debt. To pay off the debt, a marriage proposal between Sumi Yusuba and Shinichi Saimori was called into question. Yoshiro declined their offer, but Sumi accepted them without consulting him, resulting in their argument. Following the marriage, Yoshiro confirms that they have cut off all communication with Sumi. Yoshiro takes Mio outside to show her cherry blossom tree and reminds her that she has dream sight. Mio touches the tree, and we return to the past to see Sumi with Shinichi. A man tells Shinichi that he must have a child with Sumi who possesses the Yusuba's supernatural abilities. Sumi gives birth to Mio and discovers she has dream sight. One day, Sumi overhears someone conversing with Shinichi. Shinichi informs the man that he has not confirmed whether Mio has the Yusuba's rich ability because she is still an infant. The man advises him to act quickly because the Saimori family will be downgraded. He suggests Shinichi have another child with Sumi in case anything bad happens. Sumi begins coughing blood and realizes she does not have much time left. Sumi tells Mio she'll have to survive without her, but she seals her power away to keep the Saimoris from abusing it. Mio is taken aback by everything. Meanwhile, Yoshido, Kyoka, and the rest of the anti-special grotesquerie unit are fighting grotesqueries. They intend to exterminate every one of them. Mio awakens from her slumber, and Arata greets her with one of the Yusuba's maids. Mio's healthy complexion leads Arata to believe she no longer has terrible nightmares. He gives Mio a hand-me-down robe for maidens with dream sight and asks her to wear it. Despite her recovery, Mio admits she can't stop thinking about Kyoka. Mio and Arata eat their meal together. Mio asks Arata to return her cherry blossom kimono to her, but he refuses. Mio asks Arata if she wants to speak with Kyoka because she feels she is wrong about everything. Arata says he will not let Mio leave because he has waited years to see her and feels better about life. He promises to protect Mio because it is his duty. Arata briefly explains his role to Mio and begs her to stay with them because he does not want to leave this mission to someone else. Later, Arata reflects on his time with Mio in his office. He compared Mio to himself as someone who had lost the will to live. At the same time, Kyoka and his allies defeat the grotesqueries. Suddenly, a Grotsuker emerges from the treetops and attacks Yoshido. Kyoka pushes Yoshido aside to slay the beast, but is injured in the process. He then faints. Yoshiro asks Mio how she is feeling in the morning. Mio asks Yoshiro if she can see Kyoka again, and he refuses. Yoshiro says Mio reminds him of Mio and apologizes for not doing anything to help her during her stay at the Saimori household. He asks Mio to rely on them for help. Mio begins to ask questions and expresses her concerns. Yoshiro shares some grandfatherly advice with Mio before concluding that he is delighted to meet her. Mio and Yoshiro revisit the cherry blossom tree. Mio touches it, peering into the past. We return to the moment Sumi takes Mio's ability away. Mio sees Sumi, and Sumi tells her she loves her, causing Mio to cry in the present. Arata arrives and informs the two of Kyoka's injuries. Arata says Kyoka hasn't regained consciousness yet, which concerns Mio. Arata tries to stop Mio, but she says she'll see Kyoka again no matter what. Arata claims he is not the one forcing her to stay here. He reveals that he struck a deal with the Japanese emperor, Mikado. Mikado assisted them in locating Mio. In exchange, he requested that Arata prevent Mio from communicating with anyone else with supernatural abilities. Arata says he doesn't know why, but warns Mio against disobeying his orders. After some thought, Arata agrees to let Mio see him. However, he will accompany her on her trip. Yoshiro has no complaints and gives the two permission to see Kyoka. Yoshiro's maid hands Mio his cherry blossom kimono, and she and Arata flee to meet Kyoka. Mio arrives and rushes to help Kyoka. Arata claims she can use her dream sight to wake Kyoka from his slumber, but there is a chance it won't work. And Mio plotting to use her ability to help Kyoka. The story begins with Kyoka wandering through a spooky forest full of grotesqueries, wondering if everything is real. Meanwhile, we see Mio lying next to Kyoka as Arata guides her through the dream sight process. Mio promises Yuri and the others that she will save Kyoka from his troubling situation and uses her dream sight. Mio appears in front of the Saimuri house, while Kyoka is depicted fighting multiple grotesqueries in the forest. During his fight, Kyoka hears Mio call out to him and asks where she is. We cut to Mio entering the Saimuri home and calling Kyoka's name. Suddenly, a small girl begins playing with Mio, enticing her to find her. Mio notices that the girl resembles her younger self. Mio's younger self directs her to a door that resembles the entrance to the shed Kanoko has placed her in. Mio opens the shed door and notices that her younger self now looks like her. Meanwhile, we cut to Kyoka's battle with the grotesqueries again. He is desperate to see Mio again and apologize to her. Mio's variant informs her that she will not allow her to see Kyoka because she is not suitable for him. She tells Mio Kyoka that he is on the verge of death and that everyone Mio meets has bad luck. Mio admits her mistakes and accepts that she may not be good enough for Kyoka. Mio, on the other hand, believes it is acceptable for her to be by Kyoka's side at this time, which irritates her spiritual variant. Mio's variant reminds her of how miserable she was following her mother's death. She claims that Mio made her heart numb to the pain, and Mio agrees. Mio tells her variant that she knows she can change and intends to apologize to Kyoka for hurting his feelings. She approaches her variant and tells her that she will no longer run away from her problems and will instead support Kyoka. Mio promises her variant that she will return Kyoka and lead a happy life with him. Her variant wishes her luck before disappearing. Kyoka's Kumihimo cord ends up in Mio's possession, prompting her to travel to his location. Mio arrives on the battlefield and defeats a group of grotesqueries to protect Kyoka. She tells Kyoka she'll take him home, but more grotesqueries appear. We cut to the Japanese Emperor Mikado meeting with his men. They tell him that a girl from the Yusuba family has appeared. Mikado tells his men that they must eliminate the Kudo family because they pose a threat to both them and the power of Dream Sight. He uses his abilities to boost the grotesqueries' strength in the dream realm where Mio and Kyoka reside. Despite Mikado's efforts, his abilities are no match for Mio's, so she defends Kyoka from his attack. The forest lightens up, and Kyoka thanks Mio for protecting him. Mio ties Kyoka's Kumihimo cord and apologizes for her response to Yoshiro's question at the Yusuba house. Kyoka apologizes for previously hurting Mio's feelings, but Mio insists that everything is fine. Mio and Kyoka admit that they want the other to be by their side. After hearing their friends' voices, Mio and Kyoka leave. They awaken, much to everyone's delight. While Yoshido is hugging Kyoka, Mio notices Arata leaving the area. Arata tells her that he has finished his business here. Mio expresses gratitude to Arata for assisting her in saving Kyoka, but informs him that she will not be returning to the Yusuba house. Kyoka informs Arata that he intends to rematch him in the future, which makes Arata happy. We cut to Prince Takahito talking to Okado. He tells Okai that Mikado lost his revelation abilities and committed a sin by opening the grave. Takahito intends to have Mikado atone for his actions someday. Meanwhile, Mio and Kyoka have returned home. Mio reflects on what happened after they returned home from her not having nightmares to her enjoying delicious meals and trivial conversations with Kyoka. Several days later, Mio tells the audience that it's finally party time. We cut to Kyoka, who is looking for Mio at the party. Mio approaches Kyoka in her new dress, and they both compliment one another. Before they go to the main area, Kyoka asks Mio if she will marry him. Mio asks Kyoka if he regrets doing so, and he says no. In the final moment of the anime, we see the two promising to marry each other as they walk up some stairs. And that's how the season 1 comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think about this anime in the comments. And as always, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next video.